We are here in Neenah at a property that is very poorly graded, I guess is the polite way of saying it. I don't know if you can see with the camera or not, if you want to pan over and see, it is really uneven. And that's just the beginning. So the biggest issue is all of the water sits in the backyard in spots and it's really mushy. And actually, if you look, so there's kind of a hump and then it drops off back there. And like this side yard, it goes up and down or up and down. And what's supposed to happen is it's supposed to be higher in the backyard and everything is supposed to flow real nicely to the front yard. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna measure all the grading out. So right here, I don't know if you can see the grading plan. So this is the grading plan for their house. So we've got that back corner, the elevation is supposed to be 797.35. And then that back corner is supposed to be 797 even. And so this is gonna be our 0 point. This is where we're gonna start. And so it's supposed to drop down, drop down, drop down, drop down, and down here we're at 795.88. So there's a 1.47 foot difference from back there to right here. So it should be a lot lower. And then the same thing right here. So it should be 797 and then drop down to 795.39. So it should be almost 2 feet lower here than it is here. All right, so what we're gonna do is use this super cool device. It's called Moasure. So it is this little guy right here. And this combined with an app is gonna allow us to measure the grading, measure distance. It's amazing how far technology's come because this uses the fluidity of movement and obviously a whole bunch of calculations that I don't understand to figure out how far distance is, how far rises are, how far drops are, and it's crazy. So when we got it, I measured, or I checked it from some known heights like tables and things like that and distances, and it was within 1%. It's just crazy. So we're gonna go into the Moasure app. So this was one I did of a house, just measuring some points. So when we zoom in, we can see all the different distances. But what's really cool is we can see the 3D plan. So we can see elevations. So when you zoom in, you can see all the high points and the low points. So it gives us an idea of how far things got to go, and then it gives us a grading plan. Okay, so we're gonna start in the back corner. That is the high point of the property. And then we're gonna pick points and we're gonna trace the entire yard. So we're going to stop we have to stop like every 6 to 8 seconds and get a measuring point. So once we have the exterior of the yard traced, then what we're going to do is go back and forth creating a grid over the property so we have an idea of what the actual points are. So when we measure here, we're going to know how far off we are, and then we'll know how much fill we have to bring in or how much we have to take away. Okay, now we commence a whole bunch of measuring. And measure. So about every 6 seconds or so, just need to drop her down. You'll be able to see the points it's putting on the just dot, dot, dot. Every time I stop, it puts a point on there. And then I can keep moving and add more. And then those are all the points that I'll be able to click on to figure out how the grading is and where it needs to go. Now is where we're going and getting. So we already traced the border. So now what we're doing is going point to point and just creating or gathering all the data that we need for the ups and downs of the yard. And the more points we have, the better, because that's gonna tell us how we gotta do things. But it's definitely high right along here. It's humped up. So definitely need to cut some of this. Everything there kind of slopes away, but it also looks like their patio here is really low for some reason. That should probably have been raised up. But everything in the backyard slopes pretty much all the way that way, and it just sits there, and I think that's part of the problem, is the water isn't going anywhere. So we are done, and there is all the points. There's probably, I don't know, maybe 80 points on there. And then you can see the hollow spot in there is obviously where the house and the driveway and the patio are. This is where it gets cool, and we'll have to get some screenshots of this, but you can see here's the how high it is in the back corner. You can see those green peaks, that's where it's the highest, and by the street it's the lowest. And you can see the side yard, it raises up, so you can see that's why it's a little greener. And the same thing on here where it's green. None of those green spots on the side should be there, because that's where it needs to be nice and even and slope. It should be a nice gradient from that green all the way down to a deep blue down here.